Well, thanks, guys, for joining in for another midweek update for our Connect at Cornerstone podcast. I'm joined here today by Eugene McCurdy.
Hello.
He's one of our new elders here at Cornerstone. Although we haven't officially brought you on, it's been a little hard to do since nobody has been here on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
But we're excited about Eugene joining us on our leadership team. He's been a huge help over the last several years in a lot of different areas, from youth ministry to technology to the worship team, lots of different ways, praise in the park, all sorts of stuff behind the scenes. So appreciate you, Eugene, and all the work you've done.
No problem.
Here at Cornerstone. Can you believe that it has been 7 weeks now that we have been doing church online?
No, it amazes me. I mean, I've been busy, but it's almost become like semi-normal now, which is not good, but
All right. It's getting to the point though where I'm trying to think the last time we were in the building. You're starting to forget just what it used to be like. It's been so long now. So it's just, this really has kind of become a little bit of a weird season of life for the church, but I'm so thankful that people have stayed connected. So I'm thankful the technology that we have to do things like this, the ability to live stream on Sunday morning. That's been a blessing that we were already set up to do that. I'm friends with a lot of pastors, and so many pastors right now are struggling because they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the technology to live stream, and you can't buy it right now because it's sold out everywhere.
Everything's gone, yeah.
Any type of live stream software, hardware, cameras, equipment is sold out everywhere. So I'm just thankful we've been able to kind of keep going through this season. I thought we wanted to start off today doing a little different than we normally do, and just give you guys an update about kind of real life, where we're at, what we're doing, our families. Eugene, you've got a unique situation. You've got a house full.
I do. We have 6 kids in our house right now, which is interesting at times. There's a little bit of bickering here and there. There's a little bit of whining here or there. It's hard because we can't. You can't send them anywhere if you need a break or whatever. So sometimes Jess and I will sneak off somewhere for a little bit, and because the older ones can take care of the younger ones, so that definitely helps. But it's been interesting. We've been doing a lot of projects around the house. My honey-do list probably quadrupled in size. And right now we are, but this is a praise though, we are finally installing a half bath into the house so that we actually have a second bathroom for all 8 of us. So
yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. So we found more rot than we expected, but it's coming along good now.
Yeah. So are you banning Pinterest and HGTV yet in your house?
Well, after we opened the floor up and saw what was in there this time, my wife actually looked me straight in the face and said, "I'm not doing any more projects." So I think we're on a downhill of the list now.
Well, I'm going through our whole house painting doorknobs right now because the doorknobs that we put in 20 years ago are not in style now. So that, and then I think Jennifer was doing a cost analysis on what she wants to do to our bathroom next. And so I'm like, okay, we got to map it out. And so, yeah, I think for everybody, that's kind of where a lot of people are, is like, okay, we've got a little extra time at home, so what do you do? Yeah, that's why Lowe's has been so busy.
I was going to say, they don't need any stimulus help.
No. And for us too, it's been really nice. We've got 3 kids. 2 are in college. They're both home. Emma finished up her classes actually on Sunday. So she turned in everything. She's got her final grade. She is, I guess, officially graduated now. She's got everything turned in, everything done. She's got everything except the diploma. So, and not really having a true graduation ceremony.
Right.
and they may do one later, but she's done. Luke's got one more year, but he's finishing up his junior year at East Tennessee State. So both of them being home has been a blessing for us. It's, for them, they're probably not as happy not being with all their friends and being in college towns instead of being home. But for us, it's been awesome. And then Drew, he was playing soccer and all his stuff got canceled and postponed and rescheduled. So we're staying busy. And so we're going through a whole lot more food than we were before.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't even begin to talk about food. Yeah.
Yeah, the grocery bills have been crazy big. And then, of course, if you don't know, my daughter is also getting married in a little over 2 weeks. So it's 2.5 weeks from today. So, and she's marrying Philip Beaver, who plays in our praise team. So we're really excited about that. He's an awesome young man. But we're kind of crazy planning what was going to be a big wedding now down to a family wedding, down to actually even rescheduling the honeymoon yesterday. So
Oh, goodness gracious.
everything's changing day by day, but we're making the best of it. And I'm sure everyone listening and watching, you're in the same boat. I mean, plans are changing. It's hard to know what's going on day to day. But just know that we're all in this together. And I'm just thankful that for our church and how we can support one another, how we can pray for one another. Thankful for our life groups that have been able to continue meeting. Thankful for our service teams just checking on each other and being able to reach out and do things in our community. And so I'll kind of share a little bit about what's going on here at the church. We have continued work on our new community building that we're working on. It's coming along great. Working on kitchen cabinets this week and finishing up all the lighting inside. We had a work team last Saturday come in and put topsoil down, spread it out, plant grass seed. So we've got that going on. I've been working on all the wiring for the internet, and so we're getting ready to hook up internet to the new building and have that available, get all the technology ready so when we do meet, we can actually utilize this building too. So have you been in it lately?
Yeah. Last weekend, it's looking good. I love the color of the cabinets in there and big old refrigerator in there.
Huge refrigerator.
Yeah,
so.
it's looking good. I can't wait to see it all finished out.
Yeah. I'm really excited for our youth ministry.
I know.
To have a spot to meet and to get together. So it's going to be really great for that. For our community meals, when we're able to actually do those in a semi-normal way, we're doing the drive-up meals now, but when we get back to meeting together and have some fellowship-type activities, it's going to be great for that as well. Yeah. But it's going to be really nice to have two spaces. We'll have our worship center and that, so we can really spread out on Sunday mornings when we do start meeting back together. And one of the other things we did this week was set up outside internet. So we mentioned that a while back, but it's actually fully functional now. It works great. Anywhere in the parking lot, the back parking lot or the side parking lot, you can pull up in your car, get online, connect to our Wi-Fi network here. And we just know a lot of people that we've talked to either have slow internet or no internet and trying to do online classes and trying to do job applications, get on the Virginia Employment Commission website. So this is just a way we can help out. And when we have the new building done with all the seating areas outside, you can actually sit outside there and still have access. So
that'd be good. It'd be a good place to sneak away.
Yeah, it will be. So it's kind of cool. One of the other things that we had going on and that you may have heard about online was Larry did like an online fundraiser for some food for our community. And this, what happened, the ministry we work with in Nicaragua, but Because We Care Ministries and Don Gillette and Pam, they decided they're in Roanoke right now they're not in Nicaragua, and they wanted to help. So they got in touch with the same company that provides the food that we serve in Nicaragua. They're called Manna Packs, and we use that food to feed hundreds of people in remote villages all over Nicaragua when we go on our mission trips. And it's like there, it's rice, and we put vegetables, and it's got vitamins, and it's fortified, and all. It's really nutritious meals that we serve. So they contacted the company, got all the supplies in Roanoke, and actually packaged up, I don't know how many meals completely. We ended up with about 9,000 meals. And I actually got a couple here if you're watching. If you're listening, this doesn't mean a lot, but if you're watching on YouTube, we've got breakfast meals, which are apple, cinnamon, oatmeal. It's called Kids Care, Ending Hunger, Enriching Lives by the Outreach Program. And so there's 6 servings in this one pack, and simply add water to it, boil, and it's got just a good, nutritious meal. Then we have another meal that could be lunch or supper, minestrone soup. And again, it feeds 6 servings in this. And so all sorts of vitamins in this. It's enriched. And so this is really, we got 44 cases of this. Each case has 36 of these packs. Each pack has 6 meals. You do the math, and it comes out to over 9,500 meals that we can provide as a church. We've already handed out some for the community meal. The soup kitchen has been handing them out in their food boxes. We'll probably wait and do a food distribution at some point over the next month or two when we see a need. But we've got that. So if you're watching this and you're struggling, you have food insecurity where you just don't have enough food for your family, let us know. We will get this food to you. Absolutely free.
Absolutely.
If you know somebody, if you know a neighbor and they are struggling with food, let us know. Yep. I know it's just oatmeal, it's just soup, but it's food.
It's food. Yeah.
And it's healthy food. And so that's why we got it. We know there are a lot of people that have needs in our community. Just this past week, Feeding Southwest Virginia did a big food distribution. They're our big regional food bank out of Salem, Virginia, who, just a plug, that's who my daughter is going to start working with nice. In the 1st of June. But they, so we know right now people are getting some food boxes, are getting some food, but over the next few months, we know there's going to be more need. So that's why we're doing this. Appreciate Larry getting the money together. And thanks for your generosity. Through your generosity, we were able to buy all of this and have it, and not even have to tap into the church money to do it. We just able to be a blessing back to our community. So that's really exciting.
That's a lot of mouths fed.
Yeah. And speaking of generosity, Eugene gets the reports that I get after church on giving, and we just see the total amounts each week. We don't know who gives what here at Cornerstone, the way we're set up. But I just want to thank you guys for being generous and keep supporting the church through this time. We were worried when we went into this, is like what would happen with giving. I don't want to say we were worried, but we were unsure. There was some uncertainty there. Would we have to cut back on some things? And what we've seen is that actually has been remarkable. Our giving has gone up overall. And so we're actually ahead of budget right now, which means that we can keep pressing forward, serving the community. We can keep doing things that God calls us to do. We can keep meeting needs as they arise. So I want to thank you for that. You can give a number of ways. A lot of people are mailing in checks to our P.O. Box, which is P.O. Box 757 in Galax, Virginia, 24333. If you need that address, you can also find that on our website. You can also give on our website. If you go to mycornerstone.org or mycornerstone.fyi, either site, there's a place for online giving there. And then finally, you can download the Tithely mobile app. Have you tried that out yet?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's all I use, because we use checks for maybe one bill a month.
Yeah, I don't even know where a checkbook is. There's a cutoff point somewhere, and it's probably around I'm probably on the upper end of it, like 40. I'm 40. How old am I? 46. I think is what I am. Yeah. And so anybody younger than that pretty much doesn't have
Yeah.
checks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I use the Tithely app too, and it's really handy. I will mention, just so you know this, and we don't make a big deal about this on Sunday morning, but there is two ways you can give on Tithely. You can use credit card or debit card or a bank account. The bank account, which is called the ACH giving, the electronic funds transfer, is actually much cheaper rates than the credit card or debit card. So if you want to save some money or save the church some money when you give, you can set up your bank account, and it works great. So we've got it set up to automatically recur. So if you didn't know that, there's a fun little tidbit for you.
I actually didn't know that, but normally, like, over a certain amount, they'll put a checkbox in that says cover the fees. I at least do that, but
Right.
there's
less fees if you set it up through your bank account. So.
Yeah, you don't have to
And
pay the credit card fees.
if you're just doing something real quick, you can use Apple Pay, which is really cool.
Okay.
And so, or Google Pay if you're on a Google or Android phone. So I've used that a few times. If I have something just real quick, just go on Apple Pay, send it in, and so that works really well too from your phone. So last week, we'll talk about our service a little bit. Each week we like kind of doing a recap of our sermon. We did something really different. And I thought it was neat. We didn't know how it would turn out, but we recorded worship in our new building, our new community building. And we recorded the sermon way out in Fairview. And so if you didn't know, I'll again let you in a little secret. It wasn't live on Sunday morning. We actually recorded everything on Saturday night, which was honestly not the best idea, because to edit everything and get it ready, at 1 o'clock Sunday morning, I was still working on it.
Oh, geez. I was wondering.
Yeah, it did not go as smoothly and quickly as I had hoped. So I was back up at 6 a.m. in the morning trying to get everything done and get it ready.
Get it ready to go.
But I thought it was great. And so you were part of the worship. Was that kind of cool being in there?
It was cool. The reverb, it was a natural reverb in the empty building. So it definitely added something to it. But no, it was fun to be able to kind of get out of that and do it a little bit differently than normal.
Then the sermon Larry did was on sanctification, and that was he preached out of Romans 6. And if you've not really studied that before, that's kind of like one of those big theological words. Like, what does that mean? And I did want to take a minute and kind of go back over just a few things. And there's really three big theological words that kind of express what happens to us when we're saved and what we've got to look forward to. And those three words are justification, sanctification, and glorification. And so if you're listening to this, I'll kind of go over this. Justification is that like one-time event that happens when you put your faith, your trust in Jesus. You are justified with God. You are made right in His sight. And it's because Jesus was perfect. He was sinless. He died in our place. And so when we put our faith in Him, God made Him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that in Him we might become the righteousness of God. And so that's from Galatians 5:21, and I probably just butchered that. I'm thinking I'm in my head, but that's close. Look it up, Galatians 5:21. And that verse is really not Galatians. Why am yeah, we won't edit this. We'll just leave it in there. So just 2 Corinthians 5:21. There you go. I knew that didn't sound right. 2 Corinthians 5:21.
Somebody's going to say something.
Yeah, so, but that is right. So 2 Corinthians 5:21. So the great exchange. So that's what justification is, that we were sinners and now we are made right with God because of what Jesus did for us. Then sanctification is what happens because we still have that wrestling with our sinful nature. We still have that war going on inside of us that we don't want to sin, but we keep sinning. We struggle. And so over time, we grow closer to Christ. We Christ is formed in us, we become more like Jesus. And so God is sanctifying us. He is making us more holy. And so that's a lifelong process. And that's what the message was about. It's not like you just, once you're saved, it's bam, that's it. There's nothing more I have to do. I can just go back and do whatever I want. No, you begin this lifelong effort to see Christ formed in you, to learn how to follow Jesus. And then the third thing is glorification. And that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but that's when one day we'll be free from the presence of sin for all of eternity. It's really the fulfillment of our salvation when we get to spend eternity with Jesus. And so that's, God works through that justification, sanctification, and glorification to give us hope about the future, about what he's doing. I found a quote here from a guy named Mike Breen. He wrote a book called Building a Discipleship Culture. And that's an interesting book. And this is what he said. He said, building a culture of discipleship is the only way that you will produce the kind of community that Jesus and the New Testament writers would recognize as a church. A dynamic, living organism with sufficient organization to enable it to function effectively, yet remaining an authentic community that is full of the life of God. A community where hearts are open to the Lord, to one another, and to a world in need. And I feel like that's kind of what we're learning right now. We're being sanctified. We're learning to be more like Jesus as we go through this. We're learning to be an authentic community that is full of the life of God. A community where hearts are open to the Lord, where our hearts are open to one another, where our hearts are open to a world in need. And that really goes back to our mission as a church, that we want to make disciples who experience that new life in Christ, who are equipped to follow Christ, and then who engage our community and our world for Christ. So it's kind of an ironic thing that this has forced us to really refocus on the mission of God, on what God has called us to do. And in fact, starting this week, we're starting a brand new sermon series on the book of Acts, and we're calling it Unstoppable. And it's all about the kingdom of God and how the early church grew. And so I'm excited about that. I don't know how many weeks we'll be into it. Right now, we've got 6 weeks planned. It may go longer than that. We'll just kind of play it by ear.
Like everything else going on right now.
Exactly. I mean, we're not really sure of a lot of things. We're not sure about when we're meeting, be able to meet in person again, but we are working on that right now. I'll mention a few things about that, and then we'll wrap up today. When we start planning to reopen, it's going to be kind of it's not like we're just going to flip a switch and everything will be back to normal. It's going to take a little time to kind of get back to where we were. So when we first open back up, the first kind of step that we'll be going through is continue to focus on our online worship service, but when we are able to, and we're not really sure when that will be yet. It kind of depends on the state and the government a little bit, but we'll open the church back up for people to join in and worship live with us, but it's going to be a little bit different experience, more of kind of what everybody's calling online, kind of a touchless experience, which is really strange. Those of you that like to hug, it's going to be a struggle for you because we'll have to kind of keep our distance on church on Sunday morning. There won't be bulletins to hand out. We probably won't have food or drink. Just we'll really limit everything we can to where we're not touching things. We'll be opening the door for you so you can just come in. You don't even have to touch the door. You can just kind of come in, sit down, smile, wave, air hug, whatever, air high five. And the reason for this, it's not that I've seen a lot of Christians kind of push back. Have you noticed how many conspiracy theories are being posted daily right now?
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I do feel like government in some ways has overstepped and trampled on some religious freedom.
Absolutely.
But at the same token, we have to be careful. if you look at some of the early hot spots when coronavirus first hit, it was cruise ships, it was nursing homes, and surprisingly, choir practice. Do you remember seeing that one where there was a choir out in, I think it was Oregon or Washington State? They had one choir meeting and 60 or 70 people got it from singing.
Oh my goodness, I didn't hear about that one.
And so we've got to be careful because when you sing, it sprays out. And so even that is something we've got to consider. So those are the type of things we've got to be careful. If we open back up and then have a huge outbreak here in Cornerstone, and heaven forbid people get sick, even seriously critically ill, even pass away, it would be heartbreaking. Yeah. We've got to do everything we can to be careful, and so that's why we'll kind of go into this slowly a little bit. Not sure about children's ministry, what we'll do there yet, but it's going to be a slow reopening too. Yeah. And so just know that gradually, as we reopen, we'll probably remove some chairs out too, so to kind of space people out. And then gradually we'll kind of start adding things back in. And then hopefully at some point, maybe late summer, fall, things will look a little more normal than they do now. But we'll be communicating with that and letting you know. But we want everyone to be back, but we want you to be safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think about, like you said, all the government things and the conspiracy theories and all of that stuff, but the virus is still very real, and the number of cases at least being reported around our area are going up as of right now. You're seeing a lot more testing going on even in this area, which I drove past First Baptist and I saw, that they had something set up in their parking lot today. So it is definitely here. It is definitely real. So we have to just make sure, like you said, that everybody stays safe.
And I personally know people who have contracted it here in our community. So it's not like this fake conspiracy. There's people that have it. Luckily, most people here are having milder symptoms that I've heard about. But it can be scary. And so that means if you're someone with a compromised immune system, if you're someone that is in an at-risk population, elderly, that maybe you have some other underlying medical conditions, even when we do reopen, we're going to encourage you to stay home and watch online. And we'll try to stay connected and help you any way we can as the body of faith here at Cornerstone. But we don't want you to feel any pressure that you have to be here, because as we've said over and over again, the church is not defined by a building. That's right. It's the people of God. And so whether we meet here in person, whether we continue to meet online, I'm excited about what God's doing, what he's going to continue to do. And so I think that's kind of what we want to leave you with today, just knowing that we're praying for you. We're excited about the future. We're excited about what God is doing here at Cornerstone and through Cornerstone. Help us by continuing to reach out to those people and continue to think of ways to serve our community. And it won't be long. We'll be back together, and it may look a little different, but just know that together we're going to get through this. And I think it's going to make us stronger. It's going to make us have a deeper faith. It's teaching us how to rely on God, and that's my prayer, that we continue to do that. So, absolutely. So, thanks for joining in. It's a little longer today than normal, but that's all right. We had a lot of good stuff to go over. Thanks for Eugene for joining me. No problem. And check back again next week for another episode of the Connected Cornerstone podcast.